Come on, DuckTales, woohoo! Disney now has gay ducks in DuckTales. Welcome to Black Angus Reviews. There's something to be said about picking your battles. In today's media, there's a fine line between representing minorities in film and interjecting them, basically exploiting them for virtue signaling purposes. I've talked off and on about how gays were exploited, or queerbaited as we now call it, in Beauty and the Beast 2017. Touted as the first outright LGBT character, LeFou was instead a stereotypical gay caricature for Disney. But in Disney's defense, when they got pushback from homophobic governments refusing to allow it to be played, they said, "We don't care." Unfortunately, that country was Malaysia, a country adding just pennies to the worldwide box office, having no real impact. But just a few years later, with the rise of Skywalker struggling to make a coveted $1 billion, removed the brief scene of a lesbian kiss so as to not have the film banned or the rating raised, which would limit much-needed sales. A few months later, media breaks the story that a female Cyclops character in the film Onward would have a brief scene and in it affirm being a lesbian via small talk about girlfriends. The coronavirus derailed the box office potential for Onward, and since it never released in prospective countries that could ban the film, it's hard to tell whether Disney is queerbaiting where advantageous, or if they will stay the course with their viewed need for more representation. The latest news concerning Disney and LGBT characters in film comes from DuckTales, reportedly having a character with two gay dads who adopted her. And the one video I've seen in the Fandom Menace thus far has deemed it, quote, woke. Either by conviction or for quick outrage clicks, I find this alarming because it's stuff like this that can make the Fandom Menace, which I've been a part of since 2017, appear like the bigots, general media, and our online opponents will deem us as. The country largely has grown more and more tolerant with the LGBT component of the population, and with the Supreme Court decision on equal marriage rights for gays seemingly destroyed the last legitimate civil rights issue in this country. It's been 6 years now. Many gays have become open and or married and potentially had or adopted children. Along with single moms or dads, the two homosexual parent family is a reality. Some of those gay couples were Pixar fans and moviegoers since Toy Story started it all. Or perhaps they take their kids to films now, or maybe a child themselves are aware of their sexuality. It is nice to see someone like yourself on film in a casual way, especially with the archaeological aspect of film having a way of showing us what culture was like at a given time. I see the further we go blending reports in The Last of Us 2 now pushing women characters to be androgynous to not offend trans women, and reports that, oh no, a gay character is in a movie. We are, one, trivializing all reports on Hollywood and media eschewing long-supported franchises unnecessarily, big and small, thus looking like a reactionary mob, and two, we fall for what I think is the real plan of these entertainment outlets, and that is to use our own conditioning against us. By doing this enough times with, say, gender, race, or identity swapping long-standing characters, much to reasonable anger, we become conditioned to assume all instances are in fact agenda-driven. Rocko's Modern Life looks woke, when in reality, the creator always intended a trans story in the show but feared the reality of censorship. See the Shoe on Head video in the description below for full details on that topic. With the era of forced diversity, the general consensus in the Fandom Menace is that if you want diverse characters, you should make new characters, not change existing ones. If this is true, we shouldn't disparage when they are made. It's utterly ridiculous to espouse a, quote, gay agenda aimed at children when you counter with the straight agenda. Look at all the straight characters in media over the decades that never made a gay person straight, and that line of logic falls on its face. And regarding ethnicity, well, there's a clear pattern of white erasure, like in the case of The Little Mermaid, among others. No one seemed to complain about the ancient one in Doctor Strange, Bane in The Dark Knight, or Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Instances where a character with a long-established set of character traits had their identity changed. We need to stay clear and consistent with our message. Call out agenda-driven forced diversity, not bash harmless inclusion.